The Honest Garage Podcast, where real shop owners tell real shop stories.
Today on the Honest Garage Podcast, we're talking with a shop owner who didn't come into this industry by following the typical path. He came in through business school, global experience, and a family dealership bottleneck, then found out he actually loved building the business as much as the work itself. Our guest today is Mitch Krstovski, owner of Fifth Ave Auto Service in Escondido, California. Fifth Ave is a full-service independent repair shop that's built a strong reputation in North County, San Diego for honest service, clean facilities, and a customer experience that feels a lot different than the average greasy bay stereotype. Mitch grew up around cars, but he didn't set out to spend his life in automotive. His dad had a dealership and his mom was an attorney, and for a while it looked like he might follow a very different road. He studied business, spent time in New Zealand, earned an MBA through MIT while based in Shanghai, and had a corporate opportunity lined up in China before a call home changed everything. His dad had cancer. His brother was overwhelmed running the family dealership, and the reconditioning side of the business had become the bottleneck. So Mitch came home to help. What started as a plan to fix the dealership's back-end problem became something much bigger. He found a neglected 8,000 square foot building near the dealership, bought it in 2015, spent months remodeling it, and launched what was supposed to be a reconditioning shop for dealer inventory. But within about a year, he realized he could fix cars faster than the dealership could source and sell them. And the business naturally began to shift from a support arm for the family dealership into a true independent repair shop. Today, Fifth Ave Auto Service is growing again, and Mitch recently bought the other corner of the block and is building additional workspace that should take the operation to around 20 racks with roughly 15 total team members between techs and support staff. And what's interesting is that the thing he's most passionate about isn't really the gearhead side at all. It's the business side, the KPIs, the staffing strategy, the long game, and the constant balancing act between capacity and demand. In this episode, we're going to dig into the two paths forward that Mitch sees in front of him as an owner. Growth versus near-term profitability. How has education and global experience shaped the way he approaches automotive? Why he's willing to be intentionally overstaffed in the name of growth, and what he's learned about customer retention, service writing, and sales systems that keep a busy shop from becoming a chaotic one. Mitch, welcome to the Honest Garage Podcast today, sir. How you doing?
Doing great, thank you.
Good, man. Really appreciate you taking the time to be on the show.
Yeah, my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, so I know you're not really on like a big gearhead the way some other people in the industry are, but there's usually still that passion for automotive that lies in the background, or a first car that really got you interested in the fixing things side. What was that first car, or what's that dream car that got you into the industry?
Yeah, I've always had lots of cars growing up with my dad having a dealership. I was the one to try to sneak a car for the weekend and go have fun with it and not crash it and go drive around real fast. But there was a specific car. I loved the Honda S2000, M5, M3s, any cool car my dad got as a trade-in that I could play with when I was a kid. That was always fun. My first car that I got really involved with that I still have, that's kind of sentimental, I have a 1974 Mini Cooper that I got when I was in New Zealand, and it's a fun little car. It's not fast, but it's fun. And I about a year ago got a 66 Mustang Fastback that I've been playing with for a while now. And those are kind of my fun cars that I enjoy playing around with. But definitely didn't grow up with that poster on the wall, just thinking about cars all the time. It wasn't kind of until I got involved in this industry for a while that I really wanted to have more cars, so to speak.
Yeah, so I know that we kind of touched on it a little bit with the intro, but just in case somebody fast forwarded and got tired of hearing me talk, give me an idea of what your path into the automotive industry actually looked like. I know you studied business, lived in New Zealand, you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Walk us through how that got you to owning an independent repair shop now.
I have a feeling my story starts the same way as lots of other automotive repair shop owners started, but I kind of took a detour. I grew up around fixing cars because my family had a dealership here in Escondido. And so after school or summers, I was always there, not necessarily working on cars, but a lot of time cleaning. Once I got a driver's license, picking up parts, returning parts, and then also changing oil, taking the car to detail, getting a car to the smog station, driving around, doing a bunch of stuff, and while doing small mechanical repairs if needed, and helping the technicians when they needed help, and just being that extra set of hands. So that was my after school, and that was summers and anytime I wasn't doing something school related. After high school, I decided to go to college, and I still worked with my dad at the shop, went to school, and I got some other part-time jobs just to kind of keep myself busy. And after I finished that, I really didn't want to do anything more with automotive or with my dad's dealership. I kind of just didn't really have much desire, interest in that at that time. And I thought the best thing to do would be go back to school and just get more education and open up more doors and give me more time to decide what career path to go down. And that was where things exited the norm, getting into auto repair. And like you mentioned, the intro, kind of how I circled back was I had to come back for family emergency, and then I wanted to help the family out. And that's kind of how I fell back into it. But I think my time away gives me a really good perspective of the business.
Yeah. And I think it's really important as a business owner to take that well-rounded approach and to get input from outside sources. I know one of the things that I'm really interested to dig into today, we kind of talked about it on our prep call, is why you're willing to intentionally sacrifice short-term profitability and be overstaffed. Can you walk us through what your thought process is there and exactly how you're going about it so that you're not so overstaffed you can't stay in business?
Yeah, happily to go into that and give you again my opinion. It's
There
not
you
coming
go.
from a textbook, but it's coming from my personal, what I think is the best course of action for me. And if to anyone watching this, it's not saying that they should follow my footsteps, but for me, it's what I think is best. I should
Great.
start at my age. I'm 39 years old. My dad, who's 77 and healthy now, he's still full of life. My mom, same age, still full of life. So I plan to be around for quite some time. I don't think I'm going to stop working anytime soon. So given that, I've got probably, hopefully, maybe 30 years of work time left in my career, maybe more. I want to grow my business. I want to have it be bigger and more successful. And I feel that in this industry, in auto repair, you have to have excess capacity to grow. They always say that the fish, if you put a fish in a big tank, it becomes a big fish. You put it in a little tank, it becomes small fish. I feel the same with the shop. If I have a 3-bay shop and I've got 3 guys and they're hustling and doing great, I really can't get much bigger than that with the constraints. So I'd rather have, like I said, 15 guys and 20 racks. And there's going to be times that guys are sitting around doing nothing and I'm paying them for it. But that's okay, because when that phone call comes that the guy with the 3-bay shop and says, you know what, I'll get you in the schedule, but it's not going to be for 2 weeks. Very unlikely that an undecided, already attached customer is going to wait to try you out for 2 weeks, in my opinion. If I was a customer in a shop that had great reviews, said I can't get you for 2 weeks, I probably would do a few more phone calls before I agree to wait for 2 weeks. And chances are, especially in Escondido, where there's 200 shops in our 3 codes, there's going to be another really good shop ready to take them on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the analogy of the fish tank. That's not something that we've really heard on the show before, but it makes perfect sense. And I think that it's a really clean parallel. My question is, when do you think the right time is for you to make that shift away from growth and into stability? When do you think that cap might hit for you, or do you not know yet?
I don't know, and it depends on how I want to exit. So
Okay.
if you exit by selling the business, I probably want to think what's going to bring the most value to prospective buyer. And I imagine revenue may be more attractive than profitability, but it really depends on who you're working with and what their goal is with the business. So I have maybe 5 to 10 years on my way out. I need to sit down and decide, hey, am I going to try to put down really good tax returns that show a lot of profits, or do I really want to show a high revenue?
That
And
makes sense.
because if you're a prospective buyer and you're coming in to buy someone's shop, you have to ask yourself what's important to you. Do you care about profitability, or do you want a shop that has amazing, huge amount of revenue, but maybe not as much profit?
Yeah, and I think that makes really good sense. I can't wait to see how it goes. I don't think you could possibly know, being 39, which route you're going to choose yet or who's going to be working for you and how the exit might look. But the growth strategy first, I think, is something that a lot of people could do well to learn before the constraints come into place, like you said.
Yep. Yeah. And
So,
people are more risk averse than others. Then again, it's not a right or wrong thing. It's just what you're comfortable with. And for
yeah.
me, I kind of am okay with taking a little bit of risk. It's exciting, keeps things alive.
So, yeah, I do think, like you mentioned, that some people are more risk averse than others. And I think that there are some of our listeners who are out there listening to what you just said who are sitting there, oh, that I can't imagine giving up profitability right now. But I love that we get to share a different perspective on the show today.
Yeah.
So I know that you were really clear during our prep call. It's not really the car side, it's the business side that excites you the most about being an independent shop owner. You compared it to a strategy game. If you hire right, you allocate money, you watch the KPIs, then you can see what happens. How has your education background and your experience doing other things in other industries, how has that shaped the way that you're running Fifth Ave today?
Probably don't share this with young college or prospective bound students, but I feel, 7+ years of higher learning, very little directly has been used to influence me to be a better businessman. The indirect lessons, sure. And I think a lot of that you just get with age and experience. But my corporate finance classes and mathematics classes and really advanced things are maybe better suited for corporate roles when you get pigeonholed in a certain area and you need a vast expertise in a very narrow set of skills that might be better used. But for me, I felt that my experience doing business school and studying influenced me in a way, but it's not so much the actual course material that really has helped me, I feel.
Yeah, I had a teacher in high school that actually put me in my place really well. Shout out to Mr. Hollenbeek if you're out there listening, which would be crazy. But he told me one day, I stood up in our math class and I asked him, why do I have to learn this? And he said, you're probably never going to use this in your entire life, but you are going to have to learn how to do things that you didn't know you were ever going to need. And that's why you need to learn this today. You need to learn how to learn. It sounds like you're in the same boat. You got the same advice for people out there of, yeah, that might not directly apply, but you better pay attention anyway.
I have so many lessons that I learned in school that have nothing to do with the course material that we were learning that day, that stick with me, that have had a profound impact on my ability to succeed.
Tell me about some of those. Share some of that wisdom.
Yeah, I'll tell you one from it was called corporate strategy in my undergraduate. And I had a professor with a Greek last name that I can't remember anymore, but he was notorious for being a real tough, hard professor.
Okay.
And towards the end of the semester, everybody had to give a presentation. And if you said any of those filler words that we unfortunately use way more than we should, he would slap a leather fan against the table and you get 3 strikes. If you do it 3 times, you fail.
Ooh.
And so many students failed and he was merciless. And it really helped me improve my ability to talk and not go, you don't sound good when you're going all the time. And again, that course had nothing to do with how to speak and enunciate and be clear when you talk, but that lesson stuck with me a lot.
I think that there's something really important there about intentionality when you speak. You want to be intentional with the words that you say and actually take the time to think through them before you start your sentence.
Yes.
I can think of a lot of technicians who wouldn't get in trouble with shop owners if they did that first.
Certainly.
So, what are the skills that have meant the most to you as you've gone through school and as you've transitioned in ownership and since you've opened up the new building? And what are the skills that you really lean on the most?
Patience is a big one. Being patient. Allocation of funds, budgeting,
Yeah.
really big one. And understanding where financing can come in and how to use it carefully but cautiously. not a school related skill, but interpersonal skills are important as your team grows to
Yeah.
manage money in the shop.
Tell me a little bit more about the budgeting side and about where those income streams or revenue streams are coming for your business. And what ideas would you have for people listening to looking to find another revenue stream to come in?
I think nowadays it's very trendy, especially on social media, to talk about multiple revenue streams. And I feel, unfortunately, for most shop owners, the main revenue stream is going to be the vast majority of where you make your money. It's going to be fixing cars, closing ROs. Nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's going to be anything most shop owners can do to really get a great other revenue stream. You could rent out the back room. You could sell your scrap metal and catalytic converters. But there's little things. They're not going to really make a business. I think an auto repair business is going to make the vast majority of its revenue from fixing cars. Some people have done other things. I know there's some social media guys who make videos now of fixing cars, and that's what their shop does. They have lighting and they walk through and they make money doing that. But I think that's a very niche market, and the vast majority of people out there are going to make the money and the revenue from just fixing cars.
Yeah, and I know that we have a lot of people in here who are adding on detailing services, tires, or ADAS calibrations, and trying to open up additional service revenue streams. But you mentioned something just a little bit ago about where those different financing places can come from. Talk to me a little bit about if you have any suggestions on how we can use other people's money to help shops grow.
Yeah, banks, financial institutions, private equity, investors, all of them want to get a return on their investment. They want to give you money and get some, make profit on it, which is great. And if you can articulate to them how the money you're going to use is going to benefit you and there's going to be enough profit coming in that you can share some of the profit with them, banks, financial institutions, usually, as long as you have documents to prove this out, would be more than happy to give you some money. And then what you do with that money falls on your shoulders. If you say, hey, I need to expand to another facility, or you want to add a detail center, you need to hire a detailer and buy a bunch of equipment. Maybe you live in a market that doesn't have any detail shops or car washes, and you want to add a car wash next to the shop. There's lots of things other people can do using other people's money to enhance their business and add another revenue stream in if that works for them.
Yeah, I think that the best advice I would have for anybody that's in that situation is don't use other people's money to pay for current expenses. Use it to deliver a return on investment so that you can make money from other people's money the way that they're using you to bring profit in on them.
Sure.
I think that if you're going to take someone else's money and get a financial partner involved at that level, the best advice I would have for anybody out there listening is do it intentionally. Plan ahead before you do it, and don't do it out of fear or to cover current expenses.
I think that's great advice.
Thanks. So the family industry, the family business, I grew up in one as well. There's a lot of family politics and family dynamics at play at times. Talk to me about what it was like to come back and help your brother, what it was like with the transition when it kind of moved away from being the family dealership to now an independent repair shop, and how you kept relationships around that rocky time.
Yeah, I think I'm very lucky. My brother is 16 years older than me, and I think that age gap really helped. I think him and I have yet to have our first fight. I don't think we had a fight. So I think that age gap may have been a huge factor. He was basically out of the house when I was still a baby. So never really fought ever and got along. We still to this day get along fantastic. He's been very supportive of my business and my growth, and I've been happy to help him. And he's the reason, and him and my father, the reason that I was able to do this in the first place. The whole reason that I got into auto repair on this own was to help them out. So they're the reason that set the foundation for any success that I had. So I really appreciate that. And fortunately enough, they're both still in my corner, supporting me, help me all the time. And I really get along with them great. There's never been any friction or any problems with that.
Yeah, I love that. And for anybody listening who doesn't know the whole story, talk to me about that transition from the family dealership to now an independent auto repair shop. And is the dealership still around? Where are we at with all of that?
Yeah, so the dealer, as of now, we're watching this in 2026, or recording in 2026. My brother just retired December 31st of 2025. That was the last day he wanted to spend more time enjoying retirement. And so he retired, and the dealership, we have a tenant there that's renting the space, running a dealership. My family dealership is no longer there. They're done. My dad's retired. He spends more time here at the shop helping me out, especially things, just making sure contractors are there and doing what they need to do and making sure the floor is clean. He's always helped me with everything and giving me advice. So I see him all the time. And my brother now is here usually once or twice a week, but he usually tries to spend a lot of time with his family and his wife, and they got grown up kids.
Yeah, I love that, man. And congratulations to your brother on the retirement and to your dad on his recovery and to you. I think that this is great. Everybody seems to be winning in your family, which is fantastic to hear.
Yeah, we're a very lucky family. There's no doubt about that.
That's great, man. I know you just touched on cleaning, and you had a very interesting first hire that you mentioned in our prep call. And I want to make sure that we have it on record here for anybody out there listening that there may be another first hire outside of a technician or a service writer opportunity. So tell everybody a little about that.
So a little background to make sense of it all. And you mentioned this, when I got the building, it was very neglected. It had been abandoned for years, and people had broken in and ripped the copper wiring out of the walls. It was not suitable to fix cars in on any level. So we had a lot of remodeling construction to do, and we had a crew of people, myself here, every day for about 8 months. And one of the guys that was working here, an employee of my dad's friend, his name is Primo. That's his nickname. But he was here every day helping me. And when we finished the project, he ended up just staying with us to take care of the place. And so he was our first hire, and so it's suitable that his nickname is Primo. And he has been a godsend. I couldn't fathom trying to do what we've done or continue to do without him or someone in his role. Constantly maintaining the facility, cleaning, opening, closing, and having a facility that creates something to be proud of, not just for me, but for the people who come here, customers, and all the stakeholders of the business. I get that. I see that on reviews a lot. Very clean. I could eat off the floors, and it leaves that lasting impression on people's cleanliness.
Yeah, that's awesome. So shout out Primo. And for anybody that's listening, you never know. Sometimes the best hire is the glue guy that's just going to be the Swiss Army knife that's going to be able to go in and be the right guy at the right time, no matter what that guy needs to do. So I know a lot of owners really obsess over technician efficiency because
Yes.
it makes the numbers look clean. But you made an interesting point that sometimes running a little bit overstaffed actually means you can catch some more work. You can say yes to more opportunities, grow the base faster. I know you touched on that a little bit earlier, but how do you think the relationship between efficiency and profitability are really working across the industry right now?
We talked about this earlier a little bit, and again, it's not a one-size-fits-all answer, but having that extra capacity, again, allows you to take in more work. I think it's also going to allow you to have a higher average repair order. I'm sure every owner's seen this, where a car comes in for an oil change, it's at 59,000 miles, and you find all these items that are due at 60K and send it off the customer, and they're like, you know what, I'd love to get that all done, but I need it by 5 p.m. And do it today by 5 p.m. I'm happy to do it. Otherwise, we'll just wait till the next oil change.
Yeah.
And if you have that extra staff, you could probably get it done same day. If you already booked your guys out because you're running really lean, chances are you have to schedule it out and hope that they get it done with you 3 months down the line, 4 months down the line when they come back for the next oil change. So
Yeah.
having that capacity does give you a lot more flexibility. And I think it just makes it much smoother too. People get sick. That's another thing. Or people want to go take a half day because their kid has a performance after lunch. And I feel great saying, hey, you know what, Jose, take the rest of the day off. No biggie. We've got people to cover it for the rest of the day. It's not going to kill us. It's not going to hurt us too bad.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that there's a really big point you made on the flexibility piece that people look at technician efficiency. I think they're going to understand the benefit of being able to get the job done same day for that 60,000 mile service that you mentioned. But I don't think a lot of people are going to realize just the benefit of life. People getting sick, kids getting sick, emergencies happen with our family. And most of the time, it's the shop owner who has to step in and get back to wrenching or go and answer the phones. We deal with that a lot when we're talking to shop owners where they have to reschedule because somebody got sick in the shop. Where do you focus your time if you already have somebody that is kind of on the bench, so to speak, or not at full capacity to step in and take those when they happen?
Today, my vast majority of minute-to-minute operation items are mostly with relations with clients and also smog inspections, which that hopefully will be fixed in the next couple of months. I got two of my guys in smog school, so hopefully in a few more months, I won't be the primary point for smogs. But yeah, my main thing is I like to develop the relationships with my customers. I'll be wearing the service writing hat for a lot of it. And then if I'm not writing service, I'll just be talking to people in the lobby, asking how things are going, how's their family, how are their kids, just to develop that relationship a little bit deeper.
Yeah, I think that's great. And you mentioned the reviews about the cleanliness and stuff like that. I know you have a lot of reviews about relationship building as well that we found when we were initially reaching out to you about people who are just like, oh, these guys are great. These guys are so friendly. And it's funny for shop owners who are listening who think that it's always like, we got to have the best service or the cheaper prices. I think a lot of times you can do a lot more for your shop by focusing on that relationship building aspect.
I'd agree. And I think it also caters to me, my skill set, and my personality. We always thought price wise, where do we want to be? That's a big thing that a lot of shop owners struggle with is, do you want to be low priced and have high volume? Which there's nothing wrong with that. And there's some people that I didn't like that. I felt I'd rather move it maybe a little bit of slower pace and take in less work, but it would be better margins and I could focus on each person more. And I like that better for me. But yeah, it's again, I keep saying the same thing. It's not a one size fits all. And I don't think copy pasting works for everybody.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit where that mentality comes from. Was there a coach or a mentor or anybody that you leaned on as you were getting into the independent auto repair side, or was that mentality bred from within the family or your work experience?
I don't think it was bred by any particular mentor. I had lots of people that I called for advice. There's a group called SCORE, which is a Society of Retired Executives, or something like that. I went to that before I started this and met with a bunch of seniors that had businesses, and it was nice, and I got some perspectives on things. I spoke with other shop owners that I knew that I took cars to in the past about what does it mean to fix cars and how's the business work. I talked to my family a lot. But there wasn't any one guiding person or anything that really had a profound influence, probably other than just my general life experiences, growing up with my family, what they did, and seeing their struggles, their successes.
Yeah. Sometimes that firsthand experience and growing up around a business and in an entrepreneurial family can teach you a lot. I know that has been the biggest guiding influence in my life is watching my dad run his shop growing up. So that's where I get a lot of the ideas for my business on.
Nice.
Yeah. So one of the questions that we ask everybody that comes on the show is about the phrase honest mechanic or honest garage, honest shop. What does that phrase, like honest mechanic, really mean to you? How do you implement that at Fifth Ave?
Honesty in this auto repair shop, I think, just falls upon really transparent communication. And I think if you ask kind of the same question from the other perspective, what's a dishonest garage? What's a dishonest mechanic? And I think that's a really easy question for consumers to answer is, oh, it's people selling me things I don't need or people gouging me for prices. And you'll get a lot of probably the same 10 answers from everybody about what a dishonest garage or dishonest mechanic is. And I think that's really easy to palate and understand. So on the flip side, I think for us, what we try to do to be an honest garage is have outstanding communication skills, be very patient and explain things as long as it takes so the customer understands. It doesn't mean necessarily to teach them what a camshaft synchronizer is and why they need one, but that they understand, or why are you recommending it? Is it important? Can it wait? Can it not wait? Why do you think that? Why can it wait? How long can it wait? Is it an opinion? Is it a fact? How'd you come to that opinion? And when you kind of go over things with them and just spend time, I feel that they have a better sense of trust and honesty, and they believe you. All consumers, I think, also know that you're here to make money. That's not a shocker to them. It's not a charity. It's not you're doing this for fun. It's a business, and they know that. And I think explaining the cost of things, especially nowadays when people see things on Amazon, and how come on Amazon it's $20, but you're charging me $200 for the same part? And you're explaining to them, well, it's not exactly the same part. I have it in hand. The vendor has to make a markup. Part of our business is to mark up parts. That's how we make money. And then you're paying for me to hold it in inventory. And there's a lot of expenses that go in it. And I think if you just take time to explain, most consumers are pretty happy with that. And communication skills, again, really drive that honest garage, honest mechanic.
I love that. And I think that the two things you touched on that I really appreciate and that we try to implement as well is the transparency. You're not trying to hide behind everything. You'll have the conversation, you're not going to avoid it. And then the education piece. I think that there's a really big need across this industry for training for shop owners and for service writers to learn how to explain complex car related issues to people who know nothing about their car. And I think that most of the problems that we run into with people assuming that the shop is dishonest, in a lot of cases, the shop's not actually being dishonest. They're just not really good at communicating when they don't know how to explain something complicated to somebody who doesn't understand the industry.
Yep, I agree with that statement.
That's great. I know that there are going to be people out there who got value from the conversation that we had. And before we wrap up, I just want to make sure that they have an opportunity to connect with you if you're willing. And what can they do to make that connection or learn more about what you're doing at Fifth Avenue Auto Service? And what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
If they're in my area, it'd be to come on in and say hi, front desk, and just come say hi. We'll make you a cup of coffee. If they I would say send an email and we can connect via email or call the shop. I'd be happy to chit chat. And if something I can say helps someone else, I'd be happy to do.
That's great, man. I appreciate you opening that up. And I know that we had a ton of really important moments in the prep call and throughout today that we didn't really get to dive deep on. But I do want to say thank you so much for taking the time on the prep call, sharing your insight, sharing your perspective today on the show for our guests, and just reiterate to everybody out there listening that if you don't know Mitch, you should, and you should reach out to him. He's got a lot of wisdom at 39 that he's very kind about sharing. And I want to give a huge thank you for being on the show today, Mitch.
It's my pleasure. And if you ever have any panels in the future with a bunch of shop owners coming together to debate and kind of share experiences, I would be more than happy to come on and be a part of it.
I appreciate that. And so if you're out there listening and you got value from today's conversation, please share this episode, share the entire show with another shop owner. Subscribe so that you don't miss future episodes. Leave us a review on the show. It really helps. Make sure to mention Mitch's episode, and that'll just make him smile when he sees it, when he's listening. But for more resources, real world marketing help, you can always reach out to us at Honest Mechanic Marketing. We'd be happy to have that conversation. But really, thank you to all of our listeners. We really appreciate the opportunity to get to put on this show for you. Thank you to Mitch again for being on the show today. And as always, everybody, keep it honest in the garage.
It is definitely challenging. It is not for the faint of heart. I have learned much more in the past dozen years than I could even imagine. The things you think about as a technician and doing your own thing are not the headaches that you deal with on a normal basis. There are a lot of things that are very time consuming and demand a lot of attention just through the course of the day. But to me, again, it's not all about the money for me. So I just have a different viewpoint on it, I guess.